Sorry about that technical difficulty.
And we're back from the technical difficulty. Doug, don't hit the table
Punching
anymore.
the desk too hard, it wiggled the camera out of the...
Part two.
yes, out of the slot there, yeah.
Okay, and so the last reveal for today is the biggest one that I am probably the most excited about. At our last episode, we talked about things, five best, five worst, or things that are... Yeah, that was where it came up, right?
Or no, I think that was the episode, but we were kind of like on one of these weird diatribes that we never get into, where we get off topic.
Or no, it was the things that we wanted to do for the toy
lines.
Yeah,
fix the toy line.
How would we fix the toy line?
Yeah, fix the toy line.
And I came up with I've been thinking this since I was a little kid, and it always seems like the most logical choice. But the crossover between G.I. Joe and Transformers, where the Transformers are the Joe vehicles. It seemed like this should always be the way it was going to be.
Yeah, and even in yesteryear's technology, you could make a rudimentary robot out of these vehicles that are in scale to G.I. Joe.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the first one that they're doing in this crossover line is Megatron / Hiss Tank being released with a carded retro Baroness.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the mind-blowing one right there. This is the one that is like... So, and before we started this, I was telling Steve, I'm like, they are 99% there with how I thought this should have been when I was a kid. The only thing that would make this better is if they just made the vehicles their own characters. Like, they already have cool names. We don't need to bring in G1 characters and make them... a hound as a vamp. No, just give us a transforming vamp and have his name be Vamp. Like, that's it. You don't need to think hard about this. It's already there. But what this does do is this gives me hope for Transformer / G.I. Joe vehicles being Transformers, and that's what I've really always wanted. So, out of everything that was revealed today, out of Dusty, out of the NECA, and the O-ring...
the 2-packs went up for pre-order for the Cobra soldiers.
Out of all of that stuff, it's this one that is like a childhood realization finally coming true. And I could not be more excited for this one. Will I have a chance to get this one? Nope.
$90 plus shipping, it could be yours.
Maybe I could pull this one. Maybe if the pre-orders haven't already all gotten.
I think it's going to stay open for a while. I don't think they're going to fulfill until like late in the year or early next year. So, like me, if you want it bad enough, save the pennies.
I'm gonna have to.
I mean, that's almost too cool to pass up. The Megatron looks great. He's got a little bit of kibble on the back because the Baronet, like the way that it folds up, you have the turret from the Hiss Tank, almost like a backpack on the figure, and that 3 3/4 sweet ass 3 3/4 Baroness can sit back there and work the turret while Megatron kills everything else.
Yep.
So now, what's Optimus Prime gonna be?
But it's not. It's the thing is it's not like a stylized version of the Hiss Tank.
No. I mean, it looks like a legit Hiss Tank. Yeah.
It is exactly what it should look like, just like the toy. It looked like a Hiss Tank, and then he transforms into Megatron.
Yeah.
So that's what we want. Make the Vamp look like the Vamp and turn into a robot.
Yeah,
Make the APC look like an APC, and then turn that one into Optimus Prime. But they are so close to the realization that this is what it always should have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And when you look at it, it's not like there was a middle ground that they found on that vehicle. The only difference is on the undercarriage of the Hiss, you can kind of see what becomes Megatron's feet, but on the original toy, it was just a flat
black
panel anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, aesthetically, that's as much of the Hiss Tank toy as you would have ever remembered seeing one.
It is so wonderful, and I really, really hope I do get a chance to grab this one, because that one, like I said, it's a dream come true.
Yeah, super
for
awesome.
For a toy collector who's always wanted the toy that he's dreamt about, and this finally seeing this line being realized, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've said it about 50 times. Do yourselves a favor. Look these images up.
You have to, please.
And then give Hasbro your money, because that's all that's left after that.
And in some cases, your firstborn, it might be worth it.
I got one, 10 and a half. What do you mean it only buys half of a pre-order? Okay, done. Deal.
Well, fine.
Deal.
Oh, man. But that was, I mean, were we not kidding? This was a week for toy news. It was incredible. All of these drops, all of these reveals, all of these leaks, which I guess they're counted. The Megatron one isn't really a leak because they confirmed it. It's been like a second Christmas, or like that season before Christmas starts, and you're the kid that's looking through the catalog, going, "I want this, I want this."
You know what this reminds me of? Normally, when we're not COVIDed down, Toy Fair's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Toy Fair's almost number one. For Transformers, you had BotCon, which rivaled Toy Fair, and then you had San Diego Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
So those were our big three.
And there was always good reveals.
Toy Fair and Comic Con were the ones, and there would just be a slew of reveals. And over the last couple of years, it's been real skinny. Or Hasbro has kind of portioned it out with these little live streams that they do on Pulse. So now here we are with this info dump. It just feels like a classic Toy Fair, and it is extremely not disappointing.
Not at all. Not in the least.
Wonderful.
Not in the least. And I'm just super happy with how everything went down this week. And the classified line, I know you don't collect it, but I'm so glad it's not dead. Like, people were predicting, oh, this line's going to be dead. Oh, it's so far from dead.
I'm sorry.
So far from dead.
When you cannot find the figures, that line ain't dead.
No, not even
when
close.
they reissue the figures you couldn't find, and you cannot find them, the line's not dead. It's alive and well. And now Hasbro is ramping up supply to meet demand.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude, we want it so bad. We needed it. And G.I. Joe has just been in the dark for so long.
Not anymore.
It's time for Joe to have a second shot.
Yep.
And for somebody who can, I don't know, maybe treat the property with a little bit of respect, get another live action movie on board or something.
Or bring us
a
another
limited
cartoon
series, a Netflix series. That would be great.
I'm all for it. Sign me up. Yep, I'll watch it.
It doesn't have to go as deep as Resolute or as dark, but just something.
That was a good.
I love Resolute, but
good movie.
You know, if you're trying to get younger fans, this maybe just a tiny bit too much.
Yeah.
I guess not. Maybe not.
Dude,
not with like modern
kids need
anime.
to be exposed to a few dark things. I think it's fine. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
They, I mean, to be scared a little bit, I think is healthy as a kid.
Or to see consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of our stuff had that at the movie level, not the cartoon on TV level.
Right.
Unless it was imported like Robotech or something. But,
Right.
So yeah, I guess that's... Oh, one more thing that I wanted to add. So, the... it's been some time since we found the Retro Baroness. The classified Retro Baroness. There is a tiny little hunk of news on that.
Oh.
And apparently there's going to be some kind of a big collector's con event that Walmart is going to be putting on. So it's going to be a total disaster trying to order online. But... the rumor has it that it's $324, and these figures are going to go up for pre-order then. And so the figures will be on pre-order, the first four: Gung Ho, Baroness, Lady J, and who's our fourth there? I don't remember right offhand. Destro, yes. So simultaneously, stock will be hitting stores.
But we know that they've already got it.
They have it, yes. They broke street date for us, and it was somewhat addressed that some stores had already been selling them. One store, maybe the one we were lucky enough to find. But yes, it's broken street date. That's what it is. It's what we predicted it. So just hang on, guys. We're a month out, and we're gonna have a slew of these things, and it's gonna be a full release. So. Awesome. Great news for that.
Yep. And they did show that they did have the molds and the figures in hand for Stalker and the twins and the Vipers and stuff. So those are we're going to be seeing those really soon.
And they showed on the live stream the carded retros. So they finally got their samples.
Yeah. Yep. So another coming. Oh, one of the things I wanted to touch on. So the pre-orders did go up today after Hasbro Pulse did their G.I. Joe release. And one of the things that they put up for pre-order was the Cobra Trooper 2-pack, the Cobra Officer Cobra Trooper 2-pack. And so if you were part of the other O-Ring release, the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow release, you knew that those were How much was those packs?
$39.
Those were $39, right? So these ones I think jumped up to
$41.99.
Yeah. So we're starting to see that incremental price increase on these Hasbro products. So
yeah,
that was just something to point out.
They're awesome enough that if I was willing to go 20, I'm willing to go 22.
Yeah.
And did they not? I don't remember if I got the pre-order up for Duke and Cobra Commander 2-pack.
I don't know. I
don't
didn't see it.
I
didn't see it. I just saw the.
I thought that was so. You got those two.
Mm-hmm.
It's really exciting. They've got tooling for Baroness. We know that much, and we got tooling for Ripcord and a bunch of other characters. So it's cool. O-Ring's gonna
O-Rings
hang
are coming.
in there. Yeah.
They're gonna be expensive. So just be ready to shell out the money.
But hey, you know that. Oh yes, addendum to the addendum. The Super 7's latest line was revealed too.
That's right.
And you get a really awesome Flint, and you get a version 2 Snake Eyes and Fire. It's insane.
Yeah. That Flint looks good though.
Yeah,
with the brown and green.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
These are so good for the cartoon look that they're trying to invoke. And I know it's like $18 for a Star Wars figure from 1977, but I might have to buy more of them. I might have to. It's hard. Okay.
This is where we get part into. It hasn't been this good in a long time, to where we've had to really think about dividing our attentions on what we're going to collect, because it's like before we can I can get all of these things that I want, but now so much is being thrown out, so much is being given to us that it's like now I have to pick and choose, and I hate having to do that, but now we've got to pick and choose.
Well, I didn't invest in Microsoft or anything, so
I know
those hard dollars. Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all I got for news. So I don't.
Yeah. We don't have any
that.
cool gets this week to share other than I found Amaya's Robert Pattinson the Batman figure out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just from a local down here perspective. One of my favorite parts about having a local collector community is that we look out for each other.
Yeah.
And if she decides she doesn't want it, I love that figure. I wanted to have one anyway, so I will.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking figure.
Yeah.
The only pickup I got was I picked up a G.I. Joe set from 2001 that I've had my eye on for a long time. It was the 2-pack wetsuit. They renamed Torpedo Wet Down. But I've always wanted that one, and it's for some reason that 2-pack along with the Serpentor, the black Serpentor.
Oh yeah.
Super expensive.
Yeah, not so expensive.
But I found one within the budget price range, and I picked it up. Got to pick it up because I knew it's one of those things where it's like I'm never going to see that again. No one's going to drop it that low, and so
it's just hit the sweet spot. I
mean,
every so often we get onto eBay and clock's ticking down, and I bought a Jedi Luke complete. I mean his tunic. Yeah, his tunic was still taped.
Really?
And they had retaped the bubble to the card because it had peeled away, and I got that sucker for $12 a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh.
So that good stuff happens once in a while. I mean,
this one is good. I'm having to debate the internal struggle. I think all character collectors have.
Oh no! Let it breathe.
Do I open it or not? Because these figures are so cool.
Yeah.
But so I'm still having that kind of an internal struggle. They're sitting on my shelf mocking me right now. Open. But I'm fighting it.
We can't breathe. Please, sir. Take us out of a plastic.
Oh, but yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow I'll just be like, I can't do it. I've got to rip it open.
You like a sponsor, Steve. I just need a little taste of opening it up. I just need to get it open a little bit.
Steve, I'm fighting.
I need help.
I need help. Come get Steve. Steve, help me. I'll be right there. Don't do anything until I get there.
Well, no, then Steve Angel's like, Doug, you really shouldn't do this. Yeah, open it. And then Steve Devil's like, dude, open it.
Comes over and kicks the shit out of
it. Guess we have no arguments then. We're all
in agreement.
Yeah.
It's probably going to win out. But the one thing I have noticed before we get into this stuff is that 2000 pack, I've had a few of them in the past and I have opened them. And they have that weird, sweating. I don't know if you've seen that. The plastic is kind of sticky a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It kind of gets, I call it sweating.
I don't know why
what
this
else to
is.
call it.
They started like putting little breather holes because it's the petroleum separating out of the plastic. And normally, once you open it up and
you let it sit for a day or two,
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm like. I don't want to.
Well, we don't want them to sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want them to sweat.
Might have to open them.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
anyway,
nothing awesome for pickups. No,
nothing else.
But we do have a really neat subject for today.
I think so.
So first off, I just want to say thank you, 80s, for all the cool stuff that we got. Right.
It's so cool. We're still living there.
Who could want more than that? Well, me. That's why we fix the toys we love in a segment, etc., etc. But so the 80s, it was just a gangbusters, right? Like,
oh my gosh,
floodgates are open. But they missed some.
They did.
They did, and there are some TV shows or movies that we really should have had action figures for.
Yeah.
That we completely just.
Or maybe we got one action figure for, and we're like, what the hell? Why didn't we get more?
Yeah, some oddball, like, non-blister carded awesome release that we should have had. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Yep.
Why don't you start us off, dude? Because
sure.
I got a short list, but let's get going, see what we got
here.
Yeah,
so we called this one Movies or TVs That Should Have Gotten a Toy Line. All right. So I went through, I think my list is mostly 80s, and I tried to give myself this constraint of sticking within the 80s, but I think maybe I kind of dipped over that a little bit. I kind of went into the early 90s.
Yeah, it's okay.
But there was still a good time.
And I mean, there's a few on my list that, in a roundabout way, it sort of happened, but we never got proper what we think we should have got.
All right, so I'll lead us off with a couple of my favorite movies that didn't get toy lines, amazingly enough. The first one I had, Kroll. Do you remember Kroll?
Yes, I do. I love Kroll.
Kroll's a
Kenneth
great...
Branagh, and it had a fantasy sci-fi thing.
Yeah, a great
and
set of
glaive,
casts.
that like 5-bladed glaive. Yeah.
Well, the characters were very colorful, very well done, very distinguishable from each other. I think there was like a Kroll... Oh, no, I don't think. I know. I have the Kroll board game. There was a Kroll board game. I think there were some Kroll storybooks that were released. But there were no Kroll action figures.
Now, see, that would be perfect for Super 7.
It would be.
Yeah.
Give us, a Colwyn, a Prince Colwyn, and an Alyssa 2-pack. Give us some Slayers and a Cyclops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was like the characters were so well done and so fleshed out. I think for that movie to only have a one-off movie, and then to not get something to help further it.
Yeah. I think it would have been kind of neat. It would have been a real scaled back assortment, I think. Maybe a la Dune or something like that, where... And I wouldn't have seen like a Hasbro picking it up, but a Remco or somebody getting on board with
or
that.
Or Mego. Was Mego still around?
They were pretty much done by
that time.
Now Kenner would have been a great one with the superpowers, with the some of the action features, but that one could have gone the route of Tron or some of these other sub toy lines that unfortunately didn't.
Well, it was fantasy sci-fi.
Yeah,
which should have been like gimme for toys like.
And at that point, I mean, you got the toy lines being developed concurrently with the movies, so we can take the fact out that Kroll was never like this box office smash.
It developed more of a cult following over the years.
Yeah, I have it. I think it's a great movie. I love it.
Yep, but no. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. No toys for that one. It's amazing.
That's crazy. Beastmaster.
Oh man, Mark Singer, dude, yes.
Yeah, that sweet curved like Shamshir sword.
Yeah.
You got his animal companion pets. I mean, maybe
spray painted black cat.
Yeah. I mean,
and you had Amos. What's his name? The guy who played the dad on Good Times and all that. Is it Andy Amos? I think that's his name. The black guy.
Yeah. And you had Rip Torn. As the villain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really maybe the weakest part, because when you look at that movie, that is so Masters of the Universe-y with the way that the characters are designed. Barbarian hero, big cat helper, and the
beautiful barbarian maiden.
Yeah, the ferrets. He had that pouch with the two ferrets.
I love those ferrets.
He had a badass sidekick you know, and you had it had a lot going for it on fantasy, and a lot of these like very defined looking characters, and the Juns, that guy that looked like the that guy from D&D with the fat looking face, the Juns, that guy had that leather mask, and he looked like what's that character's name? I can't remember the name of it. It's crap. It's that one. Right next to Strongheart. It's the guy with the blue helmet. Why am I...
Warduke!
Warduke, yes. Looks like the Warduke. Thank you. God, I suck at 80s
I know,
now.
sometimes my mind just... I didn't do it.
That's okay. Hold on. I'll get
wait,
that
it'll pop up. Go away.
We're back. So yeah, he looked like the Warduke.
Yeah.
And you had a lot going on. You had those like flying guys that were like sort of birdish, and they could wrap their skin around them and digest down to the armor. It had a lot of awesome stuff going for it. That movie
don't talk about Beastmaster 2.
No, or 3.
Or what was the one where he came into...
That was 2.
That was 2, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and we're not talking about Beastmaster 3 either. So we don't want... No,
just Beastmaster 1.
That's a great movie, and I really think that would have had... I don't know if that was Hasbro potential, but you could have done something with those characters. The design was unique enough. The weakest point was that instead of having a Skeletor type, supernatural type villain, it's a cult leader.
Yeah,
that was it.
Still evil. Still bad enough.
Yeah, want to throw babies into the fire. Maybe not that part. But
have a playset. baby tossing action.
Light up pit and throw the babies into it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, perfect.
This is why we don't make toys.
Exactly. 100% more baby murdering action.
Oh gosh. Okay, Last Starfighter.
That's on my list.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
actually, one of my most favorite movies growing up. I do know that they had a possible toy line that was going to be released for it, and there have been pictures released online of what these they were going to be like this 2-pack figure. I think there was 4 figures in this release that they were going to do, which looked really kind of cool. And I actually think that Super 7 would be a perfect person to pick these up. Because they look just like Super 7 figures.
If you did that, though, you'd almost have to have the Starfighter.
Yeah.
If you're going to have one vehicle, because that was a cool-ass design.
Dude, Starfighter is the coolest. Oh, if you have an Alex Rogan, give him a freaking stand-up arcade, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Release an Alex Rogan with the arcade game. Oh, jeez. But Last Starfighter, it was one of those really cool... movies back in the 80s. If you're, a generation or two after us, maybe you haven't seen this one, or maybe you've seen it and you just didn't remember it, and you should go watch it again. Because it was one of these movies that was very, very fantastical. It allowed the kid from nowhere to grow and become part of this universal, problem and help solve it.
Yeah, and it was one of these like anybody can become somebody type movies, and that was a big 80s trope. But how true is that? I mean, everybody's felt like the outcast. Everybody's felt like they didn't belong, and here you had this kid that was special and swept up into this intergalactic conflict.
Yeah,
cool
and just a perfect for a toy line. Everybody about it. You had aliens, you had space vehicles, you had humans, and it was just incredible. And the story, I mean, I watched The Last Starfighter, and I watched Kroll and a lot of these other movies. I watch them at least once a year. I probably have them on repeat, and I watch them, and I don't care. I don't care if I've seen them 100 times. I
have a selection of bad 80s sci-fi movies. A whole like subsect in my catalog there. Yeah.
I don't consider this a bad 80s movie. I consider this is a good 80s movie.
Yeah, it was good. It's not like Metal Storm, The Destruction of Jared Sin, or
Sword and the Sorcerer. Remember that one?
Yeah.
With the guy that could shoot the 2 blades.
That sword just came apart in all strange ways. But you know what I've got on the queue to watch?
What?
Hawk the Slayer.
Hawk the Slayer. Good job, man.
Yeah.
I've not seen that one in a long, long time.
Well, I'm probably going to figure out why I haven't seen it in a long time, but I got it in the queue. So.
You know a movie I put in my queue that I haven't seen since probably early 90s? Ice Pirates.
Oh, just watched that like a year ago. Yeah, that's so good.
You know the one part that sticks out in my mind about that movie is when they go through the speed up and the slow down.
Yes, so dumb. And even the movie poster made fun of the movie.
I know.
It was just a stupid comedy.
Oh my gosh, Icebird's good. Okay, so I had Last Starfighter. What do you
Okay.
got? I got so much, but we'll go.
I like Goonies.
That's on my list.
You got it on your list. Yeah, Goonies, man. There's a line of 4-inch action figures waiting to be had. You could have done a big play set out of One-Eyed Willie's boat.
Oh, dude, that would have been so cool.
But how would you have executed those figures if you could? Would you have given them action features, like individual things, like the pinchers of power, or...
No, what I would have done was release the figure with a section of, like, what do they call those? Rube Goldberg machines.
Okay.
Right, where you have, like, the ball drops down and something like that. So, like,
build your own
Rube Goldberg
booby trap thing.
Exactly.
That's too good, man.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
I don't know if other people would have dug it, but
no, I mean, you got the bad guys, you got the black van. That could have been a,
Yep.
If it was a certain company, they could have just took the A-Team van and made it into their van. But...
As long as they release with the brand on the little pink bicycle.
Oh God. Yeah. It's a lot of potential. I mean, what kid? Again, here is this. Nobody can be somebody. Right?
Yeah.
These kids that are all just these loser kids, and they go on this grand adventure. So, I think there could have been something there, man.
Well, and it was a gold mine, literal gold mine back when that movie came out. Everybody loved Goonies. Goonie fever was everywhere. So it's one of those things where, like, why did you not market?
Yeah, and it was
a toy.
It was the '80s, and underage children could say shit if they wanted to in the '80s,
and it was funny.
That was great. Yeah. Nobody questioned it then.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one though. I and that's another one on my list. That's I watch it probably once a year.
What say you? What's next on your list?
I am a huge Dark Crystal fan.
On my list.
I love Dark Crystal, and this was another one that was kind of like The Last Starfighter that had a toy line that was envisioned, but never released. So they had a character of Jen and Kira and the Chamberlain and they came with parts of the crystal that you could build to build a crystal. All great ideas, never released, never seen on the market. If somebody tells you they have one, it's hard to believe. It's like believing somebody has a rocket firing Boba Fett. You know what I'm saying? So it's
have a 3-foot Unicron from Transformers the movie that was never made.
No, it was never made.
Even the prototypes were not 3 foot.
So, but. Talk about another movie that is ripe for an action figure line. Fantasy, adventure, no humans at all in that movie, but still just, again, the last of his kind, they're coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
Rising up to save the planet. I'm sensing a theme in these 80s movies.
Looked like Steve Perry from Journey.
I'm
down with that.
But a Dark Crystal is another one of those movies that is from the 80s, part of my formative movie collection. It's I have very clear, very vivid memories of this movie and what I was doing at the time.
They were not afraid of animatronics and puppets. And if that got the story across, the actors had physical things to act against. It made a huge difference now, I know that you dislike the new Star Wars movies, but the volume of practical effects and practical creatures made it added a level of authenticity to it. Even if you knew there was a puppeteer, it's very, very hard to see CGI and get your brain to just be okay with CGI.
Yeah.
So, Dark Crystal, and that had no people at all. It was just pure puppets.
It was pure puppets.
And that was great. Same with Labyrinth.
And I love the feel of that movie. It had a very new agey kind of vibe to it that was not really captured, I think, when they redid or when they launched the
Netflix series.
I think the Netflix series was good for what it was. It's kind of like Clone Wars, where I think it was good for what it was. Not really what I was expecting the story to go, but it was okay for what it was. And that's what I feel about the Netflix one. Great puppeteering, all practical effects.
Yep.
There was some CGI mixed in to enhance some of the puppetry, but it was all puppetry, and so it was good. And they did release toys for the age of Resistance. They did. So they fixed that mistake a little bit. So Dark Crystal has always been one that I think should have got the '80s toy treatment. So. There you go. There's another one. All right, what do you got?
Predator 87.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're making rated R movies into toys.
Now, before we go there, RoboCop,
Mm-hmm.
Rambo.
Mm-hmm.
At least you had those two big time like rated R movies.
They got toys.
Now they did have supporting. They had supporting cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Like they ended up going into syndication for RoboCop and Rambo. But there's many other R-rated things that ended up on, having toys out there to buy.
Absolutely.
So that 87 Predator, I mean, you almost have these G.I. Joe-like characters. You have Predator, you have the potential for some sort of jungle play set, and much, much more. I mean, what kid, when I watched that movie probably I think it came out in 87, so it must have been late 87. And that would have meant that I was
12. Well,
8 years old.
I was 12.
8 years old.
I was
watching this rated R movie with the violence and the swearing and
the bulging muscles.
And that, like, good to see you again. Bennett, you son of a bitch. Dylan,
that was
what's the matter, Dylan? CIA's got you pushing too many
pencils.
Yeah, so
no, it's great. It would have been a great toy line.
You would have had plenty of action figures for it. At least a single series run. Maybe 10 or 12 figures, a playset, and a Predator or something to go with it, and a chopper.
Because you got to get to it.
When I saw that, dude, I would have loved to have Predator figures.
Yeah.
And we kind of got a bit of that in the Alien and Predator toy lines of the 90s that were kind of...
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of them, but they are what they are.
But I am thankful to Super 7 again for giving us that feel of what we could have had if those toys had come out in the 80s at the time when the movie was popular.
Yeah. I would have loved to have a Major Alan Schaefer in G.I. Joe scale.
Oh, yeah.
That size to go with my G.I. Joes. I actually, at one point, sort of played with my G.I. Joes like Predator after seeing that.
I think everybody did. I think that was a standard kid thing.
And Predator's invisible, so you don't have to have one of those.
Yeah.
But, I think that it was a little bit of a missed opportunity, even though it was rated R. And when kids... So RoboCop, I want to mention this. That cartoon, when that went into syndication, they'd already had RoboCop and the Ultra Police toys on the shelf, right? They knew these kids had watched the movie. It did not have... It was nationwide, but it was very spotty. Because there were not as many networks that carried RoboCop, that carried Transformers, G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, all those other ones, Gem. So don't give me the, like, it has to have a supporting cartoon, because those toys were already, like, in development and coming for RoboCop, that awesomely violent satire action movie.
All right, so if we're I'll stay on the rated R kick now, because I think this is the... I only have... No, I have one... I think I have 2 rated R. Okay? Lethal Weapon. Now, I know this is probably, like, coming out of nowhere, but I thought Lethal Weapon came out in 1987. Again, it was an 87 movie. And it was one that a lot of kids probably watched that probably shouldn't have seen it, but they did. And, again, it was colorful characters. It was... you could have... I mean, I don't know how you would market a rated R toy line, and I don't think... It's not like they ever should have got a toy line.
Is it too big?
I think Super 7 should do a Lethal Weapon.
I mean, was it too, like, cop action movie, like, average thing, and not, like, enough fanciful bullshit like that you get out of, like, the Predator, or even the second and third Rambo movies, where it's, like, way over the top.
Yeah.
Well, I would have loved to have a Riggs and Murtaugh.
Oh gosh, yes. So Super 7, please give us a Lethal Weapon. What we should have.
What's your action feature, Murtaugh? I'm too old for this shit. That's it.
I'm too old for this shit. Okay, but the next rated R one is one that I think was going to be developed but never did, and became something else. Conan the Barbarian.
That's on my list. Conan the Destroyer / Red Sonja. Okay. Because they live in this same universe, and Arnold was in Red Sonja playing Calidor with a big badass sword.
Yeah.
But because of a rights issue.
But I think at the time that Masters of the Universe was coming around, it was actually supposed to be Conan, or a Conan-esque. It was supposed to be something about Conan was supposed to be in Masters of the Universe.
Mattel was in talks with when Conan the Barbarian in the late 70s and right into 80. Mattel was going to develop toys, and once they saw the cut of the movie, they're like, dude, we can't do toys of this. Especially at that time, because we didn't have like this gatekeeper that undid the keys and made everything accessible as toys. So they split ways, and they had Roger Sweet working on his Barbarian fantasy line. So that home, we got a Rimco line of Conan figures that looked like knockoff Masters of the Universe. And they were not based on Conan the Barbarian with Schwarzenegger. They were based on Conan the comic character, or like the books, right? So Conan had like red hair. He didn't even have black hair. The figures are kind of neat. If you guys take a look at them, like look them up, Rimco Conan. There's 2 versions of Conan, and I think there's a couple of other characters,
but a movie version, but a movie toy line we didn't get.
No, toning Conan down to PG-13, Conan the Destroyer. And now you have this Dungeons and Dragons like grouping of people. The wizard, the clairvoyant virgin, the big badass bodyguard guy. You had Malik, the skeezy sidekick, and Conan the hero, and Grace Jones, that really tough female lead. And you had monsters and all kinds of bad guys. So, and then you had Red Sonja, and it's the same kind of cousin studio that develops it, but it's a trademark issue, right? And they, at the last minute, Conan was Calidor in that movie.
So he was supposed to be.
And in Red Sonja, you had Ernie Reyes Jr. playing the prince, and you had his bodyguard, and dude, I mean, that is like ripe for the picking for an action figure line, like maybe Black Star style or something.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome.
I don't like a lot of the knockoff Motu lines out there because they ended up looking really weird, like too crouched, or weird
like the Warlord series that I like.
Cylinder type looking shoulders, whereas even though Motu's retardedly ridiculous and big, the way that they're sculpted in, it blends to the figure better.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, that's big time on my list. Watching those movies as a kid, like wishing I could have an Atlantean sword to play with, or having some of these characters to take out in the sandbox, and Big Rubber Snake in a hole pretending Conan's going to the pit, or the monkey guy that beats him up in Conan the Destroyer, in that mirrored room.
Yep.
He grabs him by the legs and does a giant swing to him.
So what I found out about that guy is they took that guy from Conan the Barbarian and put him into Dungeons and Dragons they stole him and put him in Dungeons and Dragons.
Did they?
In the book, I can't remember the monster manual. I think
could be
the one that came right after that.
His character, I think, is Tothamon in the movie.
Yeah,
and he's a major Conan villain from the Robert E. Howard Conan stories.
Okay,
he's like some side villain for that movie.
Yeah.
Instead, you get Dagoth, the mutated sex god with a rhino horn on his head.
Which was Andre the Giant? You told me I didn't even know. Where's my
What would that have been like? Yeah.
Hey, what are you guys doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'll have a beer. You want to come have a beer?
What would that have been like on set?
I have no idea.
Between
it would have been fun.
Wilt the Stilt's like, I ain't hanging out with either of you.
I'm going to go have sex with 200 girls.
Yeah, there's like 500 women I gotta get to. Clock's ticking. Yeah. But no, ripe for the picking.
Absolutely.
And, I would have liked that Rimco style, He-Man style figure, or Black Star. But, I could have been okay with an advanced AD&D style figures, too, with Battlematic actions.
Sure,
and a few little
I could have done that, too. But it just would have been nice to be able to add Conan to their pantheon of toys. From
it would have been sweet.
Because the movies were so good.
Yeah, and we really haven't gotten any great Conan figures.
I know there were some, Conan, kind of done in the classic style. There were some Conans.
Yeah, but
good.
Something happened there with the rights. Super 7 was producing those Ultimates figures, and they got everybody else, and they had a head sculpt for Conan, and they had the sword, and it looked great.
Wow.
But they had to change it because I don't know if Arnold wanted money or the studio that owned it wanted money, but that changed up. We had some McFarlane released Conan figures, and the closest we ever got to a Conan Arnold was And McFarlane, those toys that he used to make, they had like no points of articulation.
Yep.
He was done up in that black and white, like from the Barbarian when he snuck into the
Yep.
snake pit, and maybe like one other one, but they were cool, but they were never like cool 80s action figures. So
Agreed.
you're 100% correct. I think we are so linked up on some of these things that get in the DeLorean, go back and convince some coked up executive that we need to have it.
Well, okay, and movie speculation time. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is a perfect age right now to show a King Conan as he's in his last years. And his real son, Arnold Schwarzenegger's real son, I don't know if you've seen pictures of him lately, he looks just as buff and as big and looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger a little bit, that if you can say King Conan had a son, you bring in his own son, I could see a King Conan movie with those two and bringing Conan back into the limelight.
I guess Arnold's been trying to push pretty hard to make it happen.
Well, I hope it works, because that would be awesome.
I'd take it, especially if you got a sweet line of figures to go with.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome.
I'd take it because it's a Conan movie with Arnold, and the last one with Jason Momoa was directed by a super hack
Oh, yeah.
who boogered up. That was Robert Rodriguez.
Was it?
It's his fault that Mandalorian, half the episodes weren't that great. Or Boba Fett, I mean.
That's too bad. All right, one more rated R.
trick
I
pony.
lied. I had one more rated R. And this one was I think it was a blockbuster, actually, in the 80s. It was very early 80s when this came out. I think it was 1981. Could be 82, maybe 81. Excalibur. Do you remember Excalibur?
Yeah, that's one of my very favorite fantasy movies, yeah.
Okay, so Arthur, it's not Arthurian, it is Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
You have his round table of knights. The armor was very iconic for that movie.
Yeah.
So you have all of these characters waiting to be made into figures. King Arthur, Merlin.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a toy line ready to go.
The costume design for that movie is crazy good.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's never been a better Merlin than the design with that skull cap.
Yeah. And his voice, he would talk like this.
A dream to some,
a nightmare to others.
Yeah.
Great movie though, and I don't think you can go wrong with King Arthur. I know that some recent movies have come out.
Dude, there hasn't
depicting him
been
in
a
a
good
different
King
way.
Arthur movie since movie.
Excalibur. I really did like the Merlin TV series on BBC, but it was a different for different reasons. But Excalibur, I think, with it being so unique and so iconic and so very well done, can you imagine a figure line of knights being able to play with knights?
I would love to have that. The armor. I mean, how would you have differentiated figures on the shelf? Like maybe give them a slight bluish or yellowish cast or something to armor, so that
possibly, or
maybe a different weapon and a different armor sculpt.
Well, they all had different helmets.
They did have the different helmets. No, I love it. Like the kid in me would have bought them off
Hands
the shelf.
Down.
Like the horses. Yeah. I love that movie. It's a terrific movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, probably the absolute most beautiful medieval Excalibur sword ever crafted. I mean, it was so simplistic and just, it makes me want to have that sword so I can put it in my gun cabinet with my other swords. But
but that the problem with a lot of the movies that we saw as kids is that they were rated R, and so it's really difficult even nowadays to try to market a toy line that is directly correlated to a rated R movie. Well, but and I can see the problem. We've
got like the NECAs who are doing stuff for horror movies and that. So I think now is probably more available than ever.
Oh, right now, yeah.
But these are not like at that age when you were primed with your imagination to create your own adventures with these toys out in the sandbox. I got my Major Allen Dutch Schaefer Predator figure. I'm not gonna. It's on the shelf. I let it breathe.
Yeah.
I mean, I finally got my Dutch Predator figure.
But I mean, to be able to play with them as a kid is.
Yeah, I mean that would have been cool. At this point, I'm not having sandbox adventures with these toys or staying on the shelf.
But that rounds out my rated R ones. I've got a couple more. I don't know if we got a lot of time. And I do have some TV shows, I thought. So
well, I got one more on my list.
Okay.
And then we can switch over. And this is selfish, but I think that you could have had enough of uniqueness. I would have loved to see Road Warrior figures.
Yes!
The Road Warrior, right?
Can you imagine the vehicles that would come out with that
that's
thing?
what I'm saying, man. Like a Mad Max and a Feral Kid and the Gyro Captain and dollar store blonde Mick Jagger guy and the Humongous and his stupid underwear and the hockey mask. And I mean, you couldn't have put assless chaps on the Mohawk biker, and you might not have been able to put him in a 2-pack with his little friend that was with him.
I don't know, but geez, oh my gosh, the character, the toy possibilities from that one are just
dude, play sets. Okay, Super 7, if they could give us some figures, I'll take them. But back in the day, I mean, I love that post-apocalyptic design. And they had a series of figures.
Thunderdome would have been awesome. Imagine you had like a Thunderdome set with like you put 2 figures in with
the rubber bands that you
with
could
some
like
things you could snap back and forth.
Yeah,
that would have been so cool.
And the Master Blaster.
Who run Bartertown? I run Barter. Say again. Say louder.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that I
Two
think
men enter, 1 man lead.
The weirdo with the little China doll head above him,
Yeah.
that bald guy. Yeah. Hey,
And Tina Turner.
could have
She
been
looks so good in that movie.
extremely cool to have those figures back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember the name of the company. It might have been Ertl, but there was a line called like Metal Men or something. It was a post-apocalyptic line, and it was a takeoff of Mad Max, but it was really like dollar store Mad Max.
Gotcha.
Now the first Mad Max, no, that wouldn't have made great figures,
No.
but the Road Warrior with all of those,
And
those
Thunderdome.
characters and Thunderdome, those would have been cool figures, cool as hell.
Oh my gosh.
That V8 Interceptor, Max's dog, it would have been awesome.
That would have been so good. Man, can you imagine like the box art for that?
Oh, it would have been painted.
Oh
You know, like
man.
80s painted box art. I would have loved that.
Oh, it would have been so good. That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a
I
really
love
good one.
Road Warrior. Yeah,
Good one.
like to this day, I can still put it on and watch it all the way through, and it's just a good watch.
It is very good. And I recently watched that with my son, who'd never seen them before. So.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he loved them.
Did you watch Fury Road afterwards?
No, we haven't seen that one yet. That's the only one we haven't seen.
Oh, talk about a love letter. Same director.
Yeah.
Oh
Wow.
man.
No, it's on our list. We haven't watched that one.
All right.
Okay, so I'm just going to list off the rest of the movies, and then I'll jump into the TV.
Yeah. Let's.
Okay,
let's
so I guess
see
there's
what
only
you got
3.
here.
So, Superman 1 and 2. I know that there was kind of DC toys always, but there was
Yeah, the
never a
superpowers,
Superman
but-
the movie
Yeah.
direct like toy line with Christopher Reeve's likeness and Lex Luthor and you know what I'm saying? That would have been really awesome.
And a nuclear man.
Well, that was
and,
for 4.
and a Great Wall of
But
China
for
made out of
Superman
Lego
2,
blocks that you
but-
could put back together.
But like for Superman 2, having Zod and Nom and what was her name?
Feora.
Feora.
Mhm.
Yeah, having those 3.
So hot.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, something about her was really good. But can you
Superman.
imagine- but those would have been great figures, I think. It's separate from the superpowers line, separate from everything else. Just having a Superman the movie 1 and 2.
Yeah, you
figure
could
line.
have run a series or 2 out of those figures. I think you could have got the mileage. I would have loved it as a kid.
Yeah, I know. I think anybody would have.
I mean, that was just one of those movies that, as a child watching it, that was so exciting to see Superman and fly and do stuff. Like, I would leave the movie and go run outside and pretend I was Superman because it amped me up so much.
Yeah, I put a towel around my neck and tried to jump over my coffee table. That did not work out.
I put a towel around my neck and would jump off of the fence at my grandma's house, hoping the towel wouldn't snag the fence and kill me.
I have a lot of stories about things I've broken in my childhood. That's another podcast. All right. So the last 2 for the movies, which I think would have been really good, Legend and The Neverending Story.
You know, those were kind of both on my list. I didn't get them on there, but Legend, yeah, I like the D&D fantasy style. I mean, there were so many unique characters, the dwarves and the goblins.
Mm-hmm. And then Darkness himself.
And you had
Darkness.
Darkness.
That one probably would have raised a couple eyebrows back in the 80s.
Too much
because
like the
there were-
devil.
Yeah, I
too
think that
much
one
devil
would have.
imagery, but I like it. You know, I very much enjoy that movie. I have this special like director's cut edition that
I have
all
both
the-
versions of it with the different soundtracks.
Yeah, me too.
Which
Yeah.
kind of give the movie completely different feel from one another.
They do.
Even though they're the same movie, the score, you replace one with the other, and it's like a completely different movie.
Yeah.
It's very,
Well,
very,
I think there's
very cool.
additional scenes and stuff too that kind of help flesh the story out a little bit more.
But still, growing up, Legend was another one of those formative movies that you add it to that movie list of things you're going to watch for the rest of your life, and Legend's on there, and so is the Neverending Story.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and the reason why I pick a lot of these is because you specifically look for characters that are very unique, right? They're very unique. They fit their story very well. They have a good band of characters that kind of go with them, and so they would transfer over very well to a toy.
I would take an Atreyu and Artax.
Artax set. Oh my gosh, yes. Can you imagine like a rock biter on
That'd be cool, yeah.
Yeah, and like the whatever it was in the flying bat, and the snail, the racing snail, and then you'd have the dog, the wolf.
That wolf creature
Yeah,
that's stalking him.
That was it,
Gamork.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
it,
like
that's it.
seriously, like there was so many good characters in this.
And the
was
luck
like,
dragon, who doesn't want that guy?
give me a fluffy, rough fluff dragon.
Yeah.
I'll cuddle with that.
I would buy an Atreyu today.
Yeah, totally.
If that hit the shelves, I would be all over that.
So, I will tell you, I did have an opportunity to meet a couple of the actors from a lot of these movies that we've talked about. I got to meet Mark Singer. I've got to meet Noah Hathaway from Neverending Story. I did get to meet Robert Picardo, who played Meg, the green thing in Legend. He was the voice for that. So we did, I met him at Comic-Cons. Okay, and got to shake their hand, take a picture with them, and it's all really wonderful. And I've asked many times. I've asked him, is like, what are one of the things that you liked about it? And the fact that people keep thinking about these movies, the people that they're when we were making them back then, we were like, these movies are going to be forgotten. And they were not expecting them to stick around.
Schlock.
They were not expecting these movies to stick around. And so when I think of that, I think of the toys that could have come from that, we would still be loving today,
100%
and it shows that these movies are not only not forgotten, they are alive and well in everybody's memory, and so beloved that I think even if you were to release a toy line now for these old 80s movies, they would be a hit. They would be a hit right now.
I think so.
More so than a lot of the movies out right now.
Yeah, there's a reason why they stay in the social consciousness, and why they became just such an important little hunk of our childhoods. No, you're 100% right. I think the characters in both of those movies are very unique. So if you're hanging toys on the pegs, whereas with Excalibur, it's 6 silver knights, right? And like King Arthur with slight differences or maybe different accessories. These movies had real different characters.
They really did. And characters that you can just, because of the way the movie was made, just let your imagination go wild. Like the movie was just the beginning of the adventure. You take this toy and you're off. You're gone. You're running your own adventure.
Yeah. Yep. So what do you got for TV there?
All right. So for TV, I think some of these were some pretty good ones. We were talking earlier. I think Magnum PI would have been a great toy line for an action figure. It was a very popular show. Everybody liked Magnum PI.
They could have sold stick-on mustaches.
Oh gosh, that would have been so cool. I would have worn them.
Little blurb on
and
there.
And like Hawaiian shirt mustache sets.
The prototype image of the packaging had a little explosion bubble that said free rides. No, they didn't make it out.
No, Steve, please.
Yeah, sorry.
But no, so you did point out that there was an Ertl Ferrari.
We did get the Ferrari and we got Magnum.
But that's one of those where it's like, we should have got more. We should have got more for that.
Yeah.
We should have got the helicopter, and we should have got I forget their names on the spot. I'm so bad about on the spot. But there were other characters. The guy that he would get his lived in the mansion with, the helicopter pilot. We should have got a toy.
Could have been room for that. Yeah.
Just like the Fall Guy, we should have got more. Quantum Leap, I think, was pretty fun. Can you imagine how many Sam Beckett's you could have released from each year?
You could have, yeah. Yeah,
like Sam Beckett as a different action figure for each year that he was jumping into.
Yeah.
And then you have what's his name? Dean Stockwell.
Yeah.
With Ziggy. I think that would have been fun. MacGyver, I think, would have been another one.
Yeah, you could have. I think there would have been some legs on MacGyver.
Yep, I think so. He had a good, couple 3 characters that were going along with him that he'd do things with throughout the thing. So I think you could have had a good cast of characters that go along with that. And you can come up with MacGyver sets. Yeah,
like secret ways to get out of them, like these things that put MacGyver in some kind of a pinch. Yeah.
But one that I think is from the 90s that I think really should have got a toy line. Farscape. Do you remember Farscape?
Oh my God, Farscape was the Firefly before Firefly.
It was. Well, and it had a Buck Rogers kind of feel to it as well. But it was, Michael Crichton surrounded by freaking aliens and on an alien ship. That alone screamed toys.
Yeah, boy, that show, that was one of these things that all they wanted to do was just like give you a heart attack at all times.
I know, but it was so good.
But the character's super unique. Henson's Creature Shop had a bunch of great designs.
Yep.
John Crichton,
John Crichton, not Michael Crichton. But
yeah,
Crichton.
Yeah.
Michael Crichton's the author.
Boy, that one. I know we did get figures at some point, like later, and I want to say it was separate because you know what happened? They got canceled, and then they did the movie to finish it up. But like as a toy line, a full
that would have been awesome
Nora play set that you could fit the figures into. There could have. I think there could have been legs on that.
I think so.
But I think that one was unfortunately shoehorned into like this hellish time slots and inconsistency, so it was like almost.
I think if that had come out today in the world of streaming, it would be
much more successful. But the characters got along like the characters in Firefly, which get along like the characters in Star Wars.
Yep.
It's just a great perfect storm.
It had very witty writing.
Yep.
Very, very well written. So I think the characters there would have been a great toy.
All right.
But the last one, do you remember the Legend of Zelda cartoon from the 80s?
Yes.
Well,
I wanted the figures
princess.
for Zelda and Mario. I wanted action figures.
Yeah, we never
Why
got them.
we never got Nintendo figures, I'll never know.
Never got them. Should have got them. It was another one, again, right for a toy line.
Yep.
Oh, sad. Missed opportunities. The things that could have been but weren't. That's.
But here we are now. There's been some terrific Zelda figures or Link figures, a few of them over the years that have come out. Which that also surprises me that there's not more.
Yeah.
Especially with the latest one for the Switch, the Breath of the Wild, which was just this insanely awesome, amazing video
And I know
game.
we do have figures because I bought some for my kids from those video games. But I still think, though, that to have cartoon versions from the 80s cartoon with Link and Zelda and their dad and Pig Ganon oh man, those were great. Those should have got action figures.
Yeah. There's plenty you could have done with Mario back then, and they just didn't. There was no figures on the market yet.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
That's all I got, man. I'm tapped out.
No, yeah, that was a big, long session, and I don't know, we had that little oops where the camera disconnected. Maybe we'll put this on and split it into 2 episodes, because I think we probably got like 2 hours of stuff. Yeah,
we'll have to do two different releases for this one. But hey, thanks for, if you're still around, thanks for sticking with us. That was a beast of a topic, but we got through it.
Yeah.
I think it was good.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, did we miss
let
any?
us know. Find us on Facebook, comment in the comments, let us know what you think would have made great toy lines.
Yep.
That never were.
That never were. Yeah. The things that we don't talk about are a lot of the girl side of stuff. I didn't collect a lot of those things, but are there things that, girls would have wanted to see back in the day that they didn't get? I don't know. Let us know.
Fair game.
Girls.
Fair game.
Absolutely. Let us know. So, like always, like and subscribe. Tell your neighbor, tell your mom, tell your friends. Let's get us up there in some likes and some subscribers. And
give us some bots too. We'll take those.
Yeah, bots are good. All right, but anyway, as we say,
yep,
see you in the toy aisle.
See you in the toy aisle.